Yo, 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 what's up? It's your main man, CD Rome, and I am excited. I am more than excited. I am super elated to have this episode 50 all time for Watch Your Narrative podcast. We are in season 3, episode 11, episode 50. So if you have not, you should have been seeing some of our short videos on YouTube, sharing our thoughts on what our favorite episodes were of the Watch Your Narrative podcast, and just sharing what our thoughts are about Watch Your Narrative. So we appreciate everyone who tunes in and looks out for Watch Your Narrative. For those who may be new to the show, you can certainly find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast, iHeartRadio, the list goes on, et cetera, et cetera. But we are definitely happy and excited. You can also go find us on our socials, Instagram, Watch Your Narrative, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, Narrative Watch, Facebook, Watch Your Narrative podcast. So definitely go give us a shout out, go give us a check. So just to give you a heads up on what we got going on here today, the NBA season is here. The NBA season is here. It is on my watch. It is Friday night, so we've watched a couple games from the opening of the season, and we have a lot of things to talk about. We've definitely seen some things. So we're going to talk about, of course, some things we've seen out east with Milwaukee, some things we've seen with Boston. Then we're also going to talk about one of the more exciting players that we've seen, Wemby, and this Spurs team. We'll give you a little short brief take on that. And then also, we're going to talk about the West. We're going to go out west, and we're going to talk about LA. We're going to talk about the Lakers, talk about what we've seen. Are they contenders or are they pretenders? And we finally got our first ever recording. So thank you for that person for sending us recording. So that will be towards the end of the episode. So you got to stay, you got to listen in order to hear what this person, the question that they asked. And we, of course, definitely want you guys to send us your topics, send us your narrative, send us your questions. As long as you keep it 30 seconds or short, you can make it on the show and we can answer those questions. But hey, without further ado, guys, let's get tipped off around here. So yo. So this is episode 50 once again, guys. Episode 50. We want to definitely thank everyone for tuning in, listening as long as they have, for giving us reasons to continue to come back, to give you more hot content from Watch Your Narrative. So we're gonna jump right into it. And we got some heavy hitters today. And the first person I want to introduce is the person that actually created the intro sound that you also love. Jay Nell, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? Happy to be back. It's been a while, been a minute.
Yeah, man. Hey, bro, happy 50th to you.
Appreciate it, man. Happy
Happy
50th, bro.
Yo, And then also, hey, this is a special episode too. I think this is a real special episode. I think this is a great opportunity to expand, expand the Watch Your Narrative horizon, to expand. And we're expanding all the way up to the East Coast, Jersey. We got Jersey in the building. I can't do their the accent. But hey man, we want to welcome a new guy to the show. BG, what's up, man?
Hey man, thank you for having me. Appreciate being part of the 50th, the special episode, the
Yeah,
50th. So appreciate you.
yeah. This is what a great episode for you to jump on, man. Like 50th episode. What episode for you to jump on, man? So, you know what? I want to start there. I want to start with you. You know, from a sports fan, we've had definitely had some disagreements on some topics, some subjects, right? Um, and I'm gonna put you on the hot seat, man. What are your thoughts on Trace McGrady?
Oh wow. Well, so you know that I've told you this multiple times. T-Mac is actually my favorite player of all time. People that have known me like
Yeah.
real well, they they thought that Kobe was my favorite player. But to me, without injury, I feel like T-Mac would have been better than Kobe hands down.
Go.
I I mean, he could do everything that Kobe could do. He was 6'8". He came in with a better jump shot from, day one to me than Kobe ever had from day one anyway. And definitely a better handle. And they were both, super athletic, but T-Mac he had that dog in him to me. It was just the injuries. So,
Yeah, I was trying to
you
do my
know,
best Migos there. Yeah, yeah. No, no, I had to mess with you. I had to mess with you, but no. But actually, I want to start here. I want to start with there's a young talent in the league, and I mean, I think he's taking it by storm, and I'm very excited to see not only where Victor Wemby, I'm not gonna try it, Victor Wemby, um, and not only what he does, but I mean this entire team, they look exciting. Like, what are your thoughts earlier on? What's your first looks on Victor?
well, number one, dude has to stay out of foul trouble. We all, we're watching. I'm tuning into Spurs games. Who would have thought I would be tuning into Spurs games to watch this man play? And then he gets in foul trouble and played like I think at one point it was like 16 minutes he had played up in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
But the crazy thing to me was he played 16 minutes and then he left a stamp on the game right off the bat. Like he had a stretch. I know the commentators were saying it like, oh, he's had these moments where he takes over the game for like 5 minutes at a time. And he had a stretch where he was hitting jump shots,
yeah,
face up jump shots, running the floor very well, especially to be 7'4".
mm,
And then just like the defense and stuff is already there. I can't say that it's at a high level just yet. I want to see some more, but he's super impressive and he'll make me watch some Spurs game this year. So I'm looking forward to that. Some of my friends know and this is a topic for another day, but I'm not big on Coach Pop, but I do like what Coach Pop is doing by kind of shielding him from the more physical players by having him play on the wing as opposed to like at center. So I'm just looking forward to keep watching his development.
exactly. I agree with that too. I love what Pop is doing with them instead of taking the oh you're a big man approach. They're letting him really operate from the outside, which then keeps him from having to bang with some of these bigger centers. So Neil, I mean, what's your thoughts? With earlier on, like your first glance at Victor and the Spurs.
All right, so I mean, first glance, it seems like he has a lot of potential. Just like VG said, man. It seems like he's going to instantly impact the game on the defensive end with his length and everything. And he's super athletic and he can shoot the ball. It's just like was mentioned earlier, though. I mean, he's gonna have to stay out of foul trouble, which he'll learn, as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that comes a part of just knowing the NBA game. He's been playing pro ball overseas, but now going into the NBA game, which a lot of people say is the best league in the world. So But now having to go against, what we say is the top 450 basketball players in the world, I mean, it's going to be a lot different. It's going to be a lot different. So he's going to have to learn the way. He got to learn the speed of the game. But not only Victor. I mean, I was looking at this team, and I mean, they're just quick. They're fast. It was just very unlike a Spurs team. Like when I watched the Spurs, it's kind of like what B was saying. Like when you watch the Spurs, you're like, I'm not really tuning into a Spurs game. But to watch that game, like I was impressed not only by Victor, but I mean, they're going to be a very, very young, exciting team to watch for the next couple of years. I mean, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. So, but with that being said, that's in a couple of years. Like, what's going on this season? Like, who's going to make impact this season? And of course, I mean, I couldn't do episode 50 without talking about, what some people say, the greatest of all time, or they may say, I don't agree with that, but that's another story for another day. But he is one of the GOATs. I mean, he's up there. He's up there. So LeBron James and the LA Lakers, along with Anthony Davis. The question is, are they contenders or are they pretenders? Nick, I want to start with you because I know you are, you know about LeBron James. I think that's why your mama named you James. So I'm just kidding. But tell us about it, man. Like, what are your thoughts, man? Contender or pretender? What do you think?
I think they're a legitimate contender. I mean, you think about the offseason moves that they made, being able to keep Austin Reeves, and his development, and then able to keep Hachimura, but they were able to add Gabe Vincent. They were able to add Jackson Haynes, and some other players, Cam Reddish, a lot of good role players. But it's really all dependent on AD, and his consistency. I mean, is he going to finally step up and be that number one option that the Lakers need in order for them to truly be a title contender or not? That's the big issue. I feel like we've been talking about that for like a few years now, but that's basically what it is. Is can he stay healthy enough for them to be a serious title contender? I mean, it really falls on AD's shoulders in his health.
Yeah, we've been waiting on it. What you think, BG?
Well, I guess so. I have a couple things. I do love their additions. I don't even know if you know this. I used to be a Laker fan. This was, back before they got LeBron. And I like how the Lakers, they draft or they make their free agent moves, and I feel like they hit again. I really actually like Cam Reddish. I've been waiting for him to actually develop for the longest now, but I like him for their team. I like Austin Reeves, who not an addition, but I like Christian Wood. Like they got some good additions. My only thing is this: when I'm counting the contenders, and I can't say that they're not a contender, but I don't see them beating the Nuggets in a 7-game series. I don't know if they beat the Warriors in a 7-game series. And I feel like there's another team. Oh, and of course, Phoenix. I don't see them beating Phoenix in a 7-game series. So just off of the strength of that, I'm actually gonna go pretender here. I just can't see them beating them. I don't think they have enough the role players they have, I don't see them carrying a series. Like Gabe Vincent, he's not carrying a series. I don't think D'Angelo Russell is doing it either. So I'm gonna go pretender.
Mm. Yeah, so I can see both sides of it, but I will say this. I think that in order they could easily be contenders and they could easily be pretenders as well. So on the pretender side, as you just mentioned, it depends on what your thoughts are on what pretenders are. Because to me, a pretender is somebody who you may look at and be like, oh man, this team is really good. I mean, in any team that LeBron James and Anthony Davis is connected to, that's what we're gonna think. Like, we automatically think, oh, this team is really good. And you just mentioned some of the additions that they end up getting as well this year. But the question would be, does that put them past, Denver, who they lost to in the conference finals. Then you got the Phoenix Suns, who are now, just new, an entire new look, but as some want to call it a super team, I say a big three. Then Clippers are always going to be there, and then let's not forget about the Sacramento Kings and also the Memphis Grizzlies whenever Ja Morant gets back. So I mean, the West is stacked. The West is stacked. So what my question, and I'll throw this question to you, BG, since you said they were a pretender. What could make this team a contender? What do they have to do? Who has to step up, or what has to happen for them to be a legit contender?
To me, I think either D'Angelo Russell, Rui, I'll even say I guess I'll throw Cam Reddish in there. One of those guys. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm skipping Austin Reeves. One of those three. So Rui, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell has to like take the next step to be an actual like a star. Um, to me, you know what you're gonna get with LeBron. Even at his age, you still know you're gonna get some consistent production from him. For the most part, we know what you're gonna get from AD. So it needs to be somebody, that third player, to really step up, because it looks like, aside from I wouldn't say the Nuggets had like 3 stars, but in previous history, it's usually those teams that have like a third player that can really step up, that they usually do pretty well. So to me, just one of those three has to step up for them to actually take that step to be, at least in my mind, an actual contender. Because they're going to be in the playoffs. They'll make it to the second round for sure. And then it's up in the air from there for me.
Yeah. What about you, Dale? What has to happen for them to? Well, I guess in your case, you said they are contenders. So what could happen to derail them possibly to drop them down to pretenders? What could go wrong?
Well, I think we all know what could go wrong. That's Anthony Davis. They call him street clothes, and you know, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, I think that can derail him. I think um that consistency, you know, from Anthony Davis, that can derail him. Also too, I'm looking at Austin Reeves this season. Can he be that guy? I'm looking for him to take a step forward, a couple steps forward actually.
Mhm.
Um, he showed some stuff. Him and Rui Hachimura showed some things in the playoffs, but I'm looking forward to them taking the next steps and growing and getting better. They're pretty young guys, and I feel like if they continue to develop with the role players that they have, I think they can be a contender.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I agree with what you said too, because I think that for me, when I'm thinking about pretender LA, um, it's all about Anthony Davis, man.
Hmm.
Anthony, they're gonna go as far as Anthony Davis take. We know what LeBron is gonna do. We know what LeBron is gonna do. He does it every year. We say he's getting old. We say he's gonna fall off a cliff. And it hasn't happened. Until it happens, we're just gonna say we know what LeBron is gonna bring to the table. Austin Reeves, they do have a lot of young pieces that are unproven, and they got to take that next step. So yes, LeBron has to play, well. Anthony Davis has to play lights out. That's the reason why they won the title the first time. Anthony Davis was a matchup nightmare. First round against Portland, the matchup against Denver. I mean, all the way through the playoffs, Anthony Davis was an absolute nightmare until they got to the Heat, and then he just seemed to kind of went away. And then that's when LeBron does what LeBron does. So I think that for them, Anthony Davis is gonna have to step up and be consistent, play 65 to 70 games. Can we get that?
It's a lot, a lot
Yeah.
to have.
I mean, I mean, come on. I mean, maybe 70 is a little high, but can we get 65? I mean, 65 because the West is stacked. The West is definitely stacked. So I'll ask this, and then we'll leave it there. James, where does the Lakers end rank wise in the West when they come to the playoffs? What seed would they have?
I think there will be. I think there'll be a third or a fourth seed. Probably more so a fourth seed.
Fourth seed. All right. What about
Out west.
what about you, BG?
So funny thing is, I think they're going to be a lower seed somehow. I don't know where I'm going to put them. I would say like 4 or 5. I feel like a team like Sacramento, they're gonna keep their momentum from last season. And I just feel like the Lakers are gonna save some for the playoffs. Like LeBron's been doing this for years. He knows he don't got to make the big push to be like a super high seed at this point.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to get there and maybe if they can finish in fourth or something like that, I kind of feel like he's gonna cruise a little bit because I don't think he has it in the tank to go all out in the regular season and the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that with how young Sacramento is, and when you got young teams like that, they're trying to prove themselves. The regular season matters to them, so they're gonna play hard. So they'll probably be at the top. You got the Clippers, who they say regular season is gonna matter this year. So we'll see how that goes. You got Dallas, who really has a lot to prove as well. So I think they'll be right around that bubble of almost playing. I think 5 or 6, because and I'm also keeping in mind, LeBron James is going into year 21, and then Anthony Davis is going into year 34. So with at least body wise, I don't know. So with that going on, and Anthony Davis, missing games, or you got to leave room for that. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be close, but they better not mess around because that West is so. I mean, it's so stacked, man. Golden State, Memphis. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. So with that, let's lead the West. Let's lead the West. Let's go out east. Let's go out east. We've seen the East Coast, and we've seen a couple. We've all been able to watch a couple games. Milwaukee. Dame 39. Just a little slight work with Dame. Slight work, and then Boston, of course. Had a excellent game as well. I mean JT and Jaylen Brown, Porzingis. I mean that's a stacked roster, stacked roster. So, but who comes out the East? Right? We know it's like a two-headed race. Like, right, it's a two-headed race, at least for most people. I think most people, they got the Bucks and the Celtics head and shoulders above the others, and then there's a drop off, and then there's the rest of the pile. But that could change. So who, in your opinion, will win the West? J-Neb.
Oh man. It's gonna be close, man. It's gonna be close. I do think that these two teams will ultimately end up in the Eastern Conference Finals somehow, some way. Um, but ultimately, I feel like Boston will probably win out. In that series, probably go like 7 games, but I think Boston will do it. When you
Wow.
look at Tatum and Brown, they were able to keep them right, and then they were also able to add Drew Holiday, who's going to be motivated because he got traded from the Bucks. So if Drew's healthy, and then Kristaps Porzingis is healthy, who dropped like 30, had like 30 points his first game as a Boston Celtic. Yeah, I think they have a slight edge over Milwaukee, a team who struggled. No James Harden against the Philly team first game and barely won by a point. I just feel like Boston Boston has the edge.
Your thoughts, PG?
Well, that's a hot take right there. I don't know. I got the Bucks. I don't think it's close if I'm being honest. Giannis is a perennial like MVP candidate. You add Dame. Now, by the way, I'm biased here because these are my two favorite current players. So, and I was super happy. As a matter of fact, I'm telling you now, I'm considering myself a Bucks fan at this point. Now that they've joined forces. Um, Now, yes, they struggled a little bit with the Sixers opening night. It's opening night. I'm not too worried about that. Chris Middleton didn't play much that game. I'm not concerned. They're to me, they've got the experience. And I know Boston might be a little bit more hungry, but I feel like Giannis is hungry. Dame is definitely hungry. He's got some things to prove here. And it's not like they depleted themselves to get him. That's the biggest part. Like you kept Middleton, you kept Giannis, you kept defensive players around him. Brooke Lopez, who in my opinion should have won DPOY last year, they kept him. You still have Bobby Portis. They kept some big pieces and added a killer in Dame, who, if Middleton was a closer, what do we think Dame's gonna be? So I got them over Boston. Plus, I don't think Porzingis is going to stay healthy. It's just the fact of the matter. And in the playoffs, Tatum and Brown seem to somehow choke a little bit. I don't see, Milwaukee having to deal with that, like dealing with the choking aspect. So I got Milwaukee for sure.
You're muted if you're talking. CD room. But as far as like Milwaukee, like I say, I think it's I don't know, man. I think it's a little closer than that, you know, um, with between Boston and Milwaukee. I understand Dame's there. That's a huge upgrade, but I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, I think Boston Celtics will end up coming out of the East. But we'll see.
So I think that first of all, like I'm with BG on this one a little bit, and I'm sorry, I'm being a little biased too,
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the bias out of it though.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm saying I'm a little biased. I like Giannis, I like Dame. They cut from that cloth, man. They cut from that cloth. Now this is going to come down to coaching. I think both of these teams are the way they're structured. It's absolutely. I mean, they're both structured so well. I think Boston, pound for pound, may have a slight edge in the talent department, but where the Bucks have the edge is that the Bucks still have that same core that they won a title with. So they know what it takes to actually win a title. And they won a title. I think their roster is better right now. I mean, there's no question who's better between Dame and Drew Holiday, right? I know Drew Holiday gets the defensive side of things, but they're in a different stratosphere. Dame is on another level. We saw that in the game, his first game, dropping 39, 21, I think 17 in the second quarter, and close the game out with 14 in the fourth. So, I mean, this guy can get hot quick, and he's fixing the problem that they had at one point, which was, being able to close. Because yes, Giannis is a great player those first 46 minutes, but he needs someone to be able to close the deal. Chris Middleton did that, and that's the reason why they won the championship, because Chris Middleton had an excellent run to the finals. But now with the injuries and everything that he's had, I think he's in a perfect spot for him to be able to get healthy again. Brooke Lopez is, I mean, defensive player of the year candidate. You still got Bobby Portis, sixth man of the year candidate. I mean, this team is stacked. But then on the flip side, Boston picking up Drew Holiday. I love the Porzingis pickup. I love the Porzingis pickup. That's gonna be, to watch him and Giannis do battle is gonna be great to watch. So I'm excited to see the series. Go ahead.
If I may, I can't help myself, but I don't know. I have a feeling that Boston and Milwaukee is going to be a letdown. They're not even going to be in the finals, neither team. I'll say this, and I'll tell you why. So I'll start with Boston. So the Celtics, yes, they added Porzingis, but Porzingis ain't got that dog in it. He's not the type of player that's going to be that has a dog that's in playoffs. Is going to be out there dominating on the defensive end. And Boston lost so much on defense. I mean, they lost Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's in Dallas now. As if you saw that Dallas game the other night, he helped a lot on defense. One of the reasons I believe that Dallas won that game was because of Williams, Grant Williams. And then they lost their center, their young center, which He was there. He was their pretty much their big man that would clog the lane and scare anybody going inside. They don't no longer have that. So, and we saw how much they struggled in the playoffs, even though they had those guys like what's his name, defensive player of the year. They lost him as well.
Mhm.
So yes, they got better offensively, but I think they dropped off big time defensively. And so now they got to depend a lot more on the three. And if you know during the playoffs, the three ball can lead and you won't be able to make a shot. But you know what always travels? Defense. You can always count on defense. If you have a team that's defensively top notch, you can pretty much book it that that defense is going to show up in the playoffs. Now, I know it's early. We'll have to see and through midseason and see where they stand defensively wise, but I just don't see it.
So
And the same thing for the Bucks. I don't see the Bucks being as strong defensively as they were. Losing their defensive point guard and trading for someone that's defensively he don't have it. I love hey, he's a great shooter. He's gonna put up points, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to stop somebody. And now, Brook Lopez, he's no young. He's not getting any younger. He's getting older. And if you're depending on Brook Lopez to be your main defender in there, I don't know if he's gonna you know meet the challenge. So now you got to depend more on Giannis to be able to clean up, be able to be more of a defender and all that. And now, so you're asking him to spend more time on the defensive side of the ball. That's gonna take a toll on his offensive side. So I don't know. I think that in my opinion, the Bucks and the Celtics, um, fools gold. I really
okay.
think that
So
they're not.
so for those who don't know, that's producer Dave. He's jumped from behind the producer table. He had to get out there. He had to get out there. So I hear you. I hear what you're saying. So now I got to put you on the hot seat. You jumped in here. Now you got to get fried too. So if not the Bucks and the Celtics, because you said they may not make the finals. So who else in the East going to beat them? And please do not say the New York Knicks. He is a New Yorker, guys. Say the New York Knicks.
Hey, New York Knicks, man. I can't. Hey, I can't knock them, bro. I think that they. I don't think they have enough to be able to beat neither team. But hey, anything can happen. But
Oh,
but the team that I think that you need to watch out for that we don't know, it's got to be the Pelicans. I mean, you got to think about that team. I mean, now hopefully,
well, hold on. Pelicans in the West. Pelicans in the
I mean,
West.
yeah, that's the West. I'm not. I didn't mean the Pelicans. The Pacers. I think the Pacers are going to have a great team. They just added Obi Toppin from the Knicks,
Okay.
and
Okay. Another Nick. He's not. They're not beating. They're not.
Yeah,
hey man,
yeah,
I'm telling you, you got to
yeah.
watch out for the Pacers. You got to watch out for them. I think Toronto is another team that you can't count them out. They got a great organization. They got a great coach. I
Yeah.
think that they have a chance to be out there. And I know I'm forgetting somebody. Uh,
Oh yeah. You forgetting? I'm.
Philadelphia 76ers. I
Yeah.
know James Harden right now is not playing, but another year with their point guard Maxey and the defensive the MVP of the year last year. He's not gonna be worse. He's gonna be better. And they added what's his name from uh what's his name? I can't think of his name that
Kelly Oubre.
huh?
Kelly Oubre.
Kelly Oubre. They added Kelly Oubre. And I like Kelly Oubre. He's feisty.
Yeah.
He can hit the shot sometimes. So
Yeah.
I, I,
27 in the opener. Yeah. He. That's
I
a great
Yeah,
pick.
yeah.
I think
He
Philadelphia might
scored.
have something to say at the end of the day.
I
Philadelphia
almost
might,
picked him up in fantasy.
yeah. So I don't know. You might be surprised if Philly can get it together and they either James is gonna play and he's gonna earn that money, or he's just gonna get traded and Philly can get something valuable for James Harden. I'm telling you, Philadelphia 76ers are going to be a problem.
What you think, BG?
Said,
Jump in.
said I gotta jump in on this one, man.
Yeah.
There's a couple things there because first off, I'd have respected it, more if you would have said Miami or even Cleveland, who's not getting talked about a whole lot. But I don't see there's no way that I can see the Pacers beating either the Bucks or the Celtics. The Sixers, until they prove that they can actually get over the hump, I don't see them beating them, and I definitely don't see them beating them without Harden. And even with Harden, I think it's a reach, like a Stretch Armstrong reach, that they're gonna beat them. The Knicks, I'm sorry, my brother's a Knicks fan. The Knicks don't have a chance either. It's maybe I could see Cleveland, just in my opinion, Cleveland and the Heat. And the Heat, I don't think they have enough weapons. It's just they have that ruggedness to them that maybe they can outwork the Celtics or the Bucks. But I can't see it. And my biggest thing though, as far as the Bucks, I do understand Dame is not a stud on defense at all, but they got Jay Crowder, they got Giannis, Middleton, who Lopez, all these guys, they can throw at people defensively. I just don't know, I don't see a team really stacking up to them. They have the height, they have shooters, they got all of that. And to me, again, Boston, they just choke too much. But if anything, I'm going to go ahead and say as a dark horse, I'm not going to count the Cavs out. I don't know about their experience in the playoffs, but Donovan Mitchell, he's always up to the challenge when when he's playing against teams that are considered to be better. Shout out to what he did to OKC. So I would say if, just from my perspective, if there's a team that's going to beat either Boston or Milwaukee this season, I'm going to go ahead and say it might be Cleveland. I don't see anybody else really hanging with them.
Yeah, what you think, James?
Yeah, that's you talk about my take. Whew, man. That's because I'm looking at this. All right, so I'm looking at the Eastern Conference, right? I'm looking at the teams here, and I don't see any team that's definitively, especially on paper, that's better than the Boston Celtics and the Bucks. You have the Hornets, Raptors, Bulls, Nets. What's one of these teams? That they're not talented enough to compete against these teams. They're not talented enough to compete against the Bucks or the Celtics. And I agree with BG. Like maybe a Cavaliers team, they're young and up and coming. I can see them possibly upsetting some teams and growing and getting better. But ultimately, I think on paper, it's the Bucks and the Celtics. As far as like the 76ers go, we don't know what the situation is going to be with James Harden. He can't even travel with the team right now. So you're talking about a team that, you know, don't have James Harden is going to be able to beat the Bucks or the Celtics. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
Well, if you look back last year, right? So last year you could have said the same thing about the Bucks, and you could have said the same thing about the Celtics. And if you would have said the Miami Heat on this day last year, you would have said the Miami Heat are going to be in the finals playing against the Denver Nuggets. You would have probably said, "Oh, that's a hot take. Oh no, that's not going to happen." Look at the Celtics. Look at their squad. Look at the Bucks with Giannis. And what happened?
Yeah, but they got better this
So
season,
you're
though.
looking at the roster, yeah. No, they
He got
actually no.
worse.
They played a lot better in the playoffs than he did.
Correct me if I'm wrong too. Wasn't Giannis hurt in the playoffs?
He was. He
Oh.
definitely was. Yeah,
There
he
was
definitely.
there was a bunch of players that were hurt in the playoffs. I mean, on a lot of teams, but that you can't. If you're on the floor, you can't use it as an excuse. If you're playing, you got to play. And did Giannis not play?
I believe he missed games. I gotta double check
But
it.
he
but
missed-
I think he
against
only
the,
played one game,
against
right?
He come back
Miami.
and play.
Against
He came back.
Miami.
Yeah, he got hurt in the first round.
Yeah, he got hurt
Yeah.
in game one. Actually, he missed game two, and
Yeah.
You know,
But
that
came back and played.
allowed Miami to get a a lead on them. And also not only that, I mean, he came back because I know that he missed game 2. I know that Milwaukee, thought in their head like, hey, we can still beat these guys. But of course, Miami is such a well coached team. But
And two, I mean, to be fair, they did lose Tyler Hero as well, so we can't really use that as an excuse.
yeah, well, that's true too. That's true too. But Miami is still such a well coached team that, and plus Giannis's role compared to Tyler Hero's role, that they're not.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'll say this is where having a Dame Lillard comes into play, because now you got room for error. Because the game that we just saw where they took off on the Sixers, it was all because of Dame. Like Giannis wasn't even on the court when he was going off. So now you have a player that if Giannis misses a couple of games here and there, they're not going to lose stride. If Dame misses a couple games here and there, they're not going to lose stride. So I mean, this is a very stacked team, and just the same way is injuries can happen to anyone. Just like with Jason Tatum, Game 7, first couple plays of the game, rolled his ankle, and then it just went downhill from there. So I mean, that definitely can happen. So that comes into play. So I think that it's going to be a very interesting season. I'm super excited about this season because of all of the variables. You got Victor, who will be, I mean, very exciting to watch that Spurs team. You got the Pelicans. We didn't mention them, but that Pelicans team is really, really good. And if Zion can, get his head on straight and stay out the DMs and focus, I think he'll be fine too. And with BI, and I mean that team is really good and they're exciting as well. So I'm excited to see a lot of those teams. So I want to jump into our recording. So I'll talk a little bit about our voice messaging system on Spotify. So if you want to be on the show, if you want to send us a message, send us a question, talk about a narrative that you may not have agreed with, talk about a narrative that you want to talk about, doesn't matter. Send us a voice message. The link will be inside of our YouTube. I'll put the URL there for you to be able to click on it. It will take you straight to the voice messaging system. It's very simple. Leave your question or leave your thoughts, your narratives, whatever the case may be, and just keep it under 30 seconds. And we will discuss it here on the Watch Your Narrative platform. So without further ado, let's see what one of our listeners, let's see what he sent us.
About the ability that Dwight Howard has center position in his prime. And then I also thought about Anthony Davis in his prime. And made me wonder, who would you choose in their prime? Would you choose Anthony Davis and what he brought to the table? Or would you choose Dwight Howard and what he brought to the table? And why would you choose that person, that player?
Oh man, that's a good question. I'm gonna let BG get the first crack at that one. Go ahead, B.
Okay, so we're talking primes here. I guess my question though becomes one major question is, if we're talking primes, are we saying when on the court, or are we accounting for, because during his prime, AD has been injured. So that does matter to me. But even then, I'm gonna be honest, I'm going Dwight. He should be in the top 75. AD should not. To me, there was a stretch where he was averaging like 20 points and 20 rebounds. And I know if we're in today's NBA, he may have a harder time as a fit because he can't shoot, but he's a freak athlete. Basically 7 foot, can run, jump out the gym, and he's one of the few people that can actually say they beat LeBron in a series that wasn't the finals. He's one of the only ones in the East that managed to keep LeBron from getting to the finals. And he did it with a cast of guys that, even in their primes were pretty much role players or maybe, just good starters, but nothing more than that. And AD couldn't even sniff the playoffs until I'm sorry, he was making the playoffs. He couldn't sniff the second round until Boogie got there. I don't even know if he really made the playoffs too much before Boogie got there. So to me, it's Dwight Howard, and it's not close.
So that's and to answer your question, yeah, Anthony Davis actually made it to the playoffs one time. In that run before Boogie got there, he had made it to the playoffs. They actually got put out in the first round by the Golden State Warriors, who swept them. So I mean, of course, that would happen. So Neil, what's your thoughts?
Oh wow, that's kind of crazy. It's not even close. I mean, we kind of forget young AD. I mean, he's a hooper. You gotta look at the situation too. Like he didn't have those players around him that Dwight had. Dwight had Hedo Turkoglu, the Turkish Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan of Turkey over there. He had Jameer Nelson. I mean, he had Rashard Lewis and all those other players too that could shoot. So they built around him. Anyways, I'm giving a slight edge to Anthony Davis. I just feel like overall, like he was able to consistently put up numbers. They were talking, they've never mentioned Dwight Howard as being the best player in the NBA. But they have talked about Anthony Davis possibly being one of the best players in the NBA, especially early in his career, because of how dominant he was playing in New Orleans, especially during like the 2015, 16, 17 range. He was averaging like 28 points a game. So there was a lot of hype surrounding him for that reason, because he was dominant. He could play defense, he can play on the inside, and he can shoot, mid ranges and do a lot of different things on the floor. So I'm gonna give the slight edge to Anthony Davis, even though Dwight Howard was pretty dominant himself.
I think that so first of all, let me say this. So the first thing is I hear what you're saying about Anthony Davis. But the problem with Anthony Davis is this. Yes, he was at one point, people wanted to consider him one of the best players in the league. And they also said that he would be the face of the league at one point. A lot
Right.
because of polls, he was number one. They picked him to be the best player under a certain age or whatever GM would want to draft. But the problem is with AD is he hasn't lived up to all of that hype. He's never been really in the MVP conversation. He's been in the defensive player of the year. He's never won it. Dwight Howard's won it 3 times. And yes, Dwight Howard had a better team around him when he got to the finals, right? But consistently, that team Orlando was really led by him defensively. So of course, defensively, even though how great Anthony Davis is defensively, he's not Dwight Howard. Now, and on the offensive side, of course, Anthony Davis just has a little bit more in his, or not even a lot more in his bag than what Dwight had. So it's very close. But if I had to be forced to choose, to the person who sent me that question, I'm going to take Dwight Howard. I'm taking Dwight. Prime Dwight. Before the days of LA where his back was messed up and and everything else that in Houston is partying with James Harden, I'm taking Dwight. BG, what you got?
I just want to name some names here. All right. Tyreke Evans, who won Rookie of the Year. Eric Gordon, who's been a 6-man candidate. Jrue Holiday. Ryan Anderson. I'm just going to throw that one out there. I'm not saying he's a superstar or anything. These are guys that Anthony Davis played on the team with. And they were young, but these were, 25, 26, 24 years old. And this team couldn't make the playoffs, or these teams could barely make the playoffs with those guys on his team. And we're comparing Hedo Turkoglu and Jameer Nelson to Jrue Holiday, Eric Gordon. Okay, Rashard Lewis. And we're comparing those guys to Tyreke Evans, Eric Gordon, and Jrue Holiday. I just want to make sure, we're clear on that. Because I don't think it's close.
Kyrie Evans was never really the same after his rookie year. He fell off, so we can't. Yeah. He fell off.
I'm
It's
gonna have to
close.
take a look there.
It's close. I think that, that's the year they probably. I think not even probably. That's the year they made the playoffs with Drew Holiday, Eric Gordon. How he hooped, and so I mean it's close. I think, but that's a great question. And we want more questions like that. So please send us more of your questions, and we look forward to hearing them, and we won't actually talk about them. But this is episode 50, guys. This is episode 50. I'm going to give myself a clap. I'm going to give everybody else here that's on the show a round of applause, because I want to say thank you to everybody who's ever been a part of this show. Thank you to producer Dave for doing an excellent job. Thank you for the guys that show up and give us the glorious content that we have. Thank you for the producer of the opening tip off, Jay Neb. We appreciate you. And thank you for everybody who listens, who actually asks for more content from the episode and really looks out to want to hear more content. So guys, if you're new here, please go find us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Watch Your Narrative. Go find us on our podcast, anywhere you stream your podcast. I mean, you literally can say, hold on, let me see, can I do it? Alexa, play Watch Your Narrative.
I couldn't find that on.
Oh Lord, that didn't go the way.
You ain't that big yet. Yeah.
It works. Hey, one more time. Alexa, play Watch Your Narrative podcast.
Playing Do You Need a Ride?
Oh gosh, Alexa, stop. Alexa, you're embarrassing me. She's embarrassing me. Sorry. I gotta get her updated. But thank you guys for listening. Watch Your Narrative, man. Episode 50, we out.